Hi there, my name is Jack Wallen and I am here to talk to you about something. Now I'm going to warn you that allergies have kind of taken control of my voice box and said we're not going to let go. So the voice is a bit rough right now, but you do what you can, right? And I promise this time I'm not going to ruin your day by speaking in a British dialect. So it's just me. It's just all natural me. All natural. Yeah. Okay, so what do I want to talk about today? The title of this is Shut Up, Brain. You probably can figure it out without listening much further, but it's a subject that I believe every artist, nay, every person needs to hear on a regular basis. Now, this came about because the other night, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, I talked about arting yourself into a corner. And that really happened to me. Actually, that's happened to me more times during the writing of this sci-fi series than probably all of my books combined. And I've been really happy about it. But here's the thing, and this is what inspired me to talk about this today. The night before last, I was writing in Aftermath 2, and I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. I knew that I was about to write something that was going to send that story off in a totally different trajectory. And my gut really wanted to do it because I thought this is exactly what should happen to really heighten the drama of this story. And not only that, but to make the reader think, ooh, what's going to happen next? I don't know. Because I didn't know. But here's what happened. As soon as my gut said, do this, my brain locked on and said, no, don't do this. Because if you do this, you have no idea if you're going to wind up writing yourself into such a dark and deep corner that you're not going to be able to get out of it. And I sat there with my laptop in front of me, staring at the screen, wondering which I should follow, my gut or my head. And then I hearkened back to grad school. Oh, that wonderful, wonderful period of grad school that just beat me down mentally, physically, and emotionally. And I remembered one of my mentor, probably the one teacher that's had the most impact in my life, said that as an artist, you are beholden to your instinct. And you should always, always let your instinct guide you. When that came to mind, I thought, you know what, brain? Shut up. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this because my gut insists that this is the right way to go. And I know you, brain. I know you really, really well. You're going to think and overthink and then overthink the overthinking. And then you're going to go back to the beginning, think again, overthink again, and then overthink your thoughts. And you're going to get me into such a confused jumble of nonsense that I'm not going to know what to do. So guess what, brain? You get to take a back seat to my instinct. My gut's going to guide me, and that's that. And then I did it. I wrote that seed, and it was like, okay, this is where the book is going to go, and this is truly exciting. Then the day after that, I started thinking about what had happened. This war between my brain and my gut. And I thought that happens all the time. Not just within the realm of my art. It happens in life every day. Every stinking day of my life, my gut says, do this. And my brain says, no, you need to do this. it could be as simple as I'm getting dressed to go somewhere. Maybe I'm just going to go pick up food or whatever, and I just exercised and I took a shower and I'm getting dressed, and my gut says, wear this. I mean, if you've seen me, you know when my gut says wear this, it's probably going to be something that society would go, whoa, what are you? That's just how I am. Sorry. That's how I am made. It's frustrating sometimes, but that's just me. And when my gut does that, my brain says, let's think about this. Let's run through the possibilities of what's going to happen if you put that dress on and go out in public. People are going to stare at you. They're going to make fun of you. They're going to call you names. They're going to think you're a freak. They're going to run away from you. They're going to hide their children from you. They're going to aim their guns at you. Who knows what they're going to do? That's what my brain does. My gut innocently said, do this. That'd be fun. It'd be like this. This will be good. You'll feel good about yourself. And brain says, nay, nay. Your gut cannot think of these things, cannot think of the repercussions of what you're doing. And that's fine. That is great. It is fine that my brain, in its strange and crazy knowledge, has the ability to protect me from myself. But there are times when my brain doesn't know that I don't need protection all the time. And that sometimes my gut is more in tune with my emotional state. And I just have to go, brain, I love you. And without you, well, I wouldn't be alive. But you're just going to have to trust me. You're just going to have to trust me. Because if you don't, you're going to cause me to wind up totally petrified and terrified of doing anything. Because I know how my brain thinks, and my brain tends to think 10, 12 steps ahead of me. And it can't know that there's this odd thing called instinct that just kind of knows. It understands not just the thought processes, but the emotional processes and the emotional needs of me and those around me. And so, okay, I should clarify that. Yes, my brain is capable of processing the emotional needs of everybody around me and myself. But I find, and this may just be me, I don't know, but I find that my instincts are so well in tune with what's best for me or what's best for my work that I do myself and my work a disservice by not trusting it. And the thing is that when my brain kicks in, when my gut says do this, and my brain kicks in and says, no, don't do that, do this, I have to understand that sometimes my brain is, well, it's accessing and seeing things that my gut can't. And for example, with Aftermath 2 and the scene that I just wrote, my brain knows how challenging it's going to be if I go this particular route. It knows, it says, okay, well, if you do that, you're going to have to solve for X, Y, and Z, on top of which it's going to add other difficult layers on top of it. So you got to think about those things. But then my gut just says, this is what the story needs. I can feel it. And I'm not saying that every single time I go with my gut, because that would be dangerous. But when I'm faced with those two things, with what my gut says and what my brain says, I have to step back and say, okay, what are the ramifications of what I'm about to do, but if I don't follow my gut, what happens? Okay, in the case of this book, if I don't follow my gut, I'm taking the safe route. Because that's what my brain does. My brain always wants me to take the safe route. My gut always wants me to take the more interesting route. And that's kind of what it all boils down to. Do you go the interesting route or the safe route? And usually the interesting route is going to result in more compelling art. And even within the context of this whole world of this book, there are times when I have to take the safe route. Because my gut might say, do this. And then my brain says, if you do that, the story ends. Because you can't move forward from this. So I have to go, okay. In this instance, brain, you're right. But how do we appease the gut? Is there some middle ground? And that's kind of where it all comes together, where my brain goes, okay, gut, let's have a conversation. You want to go this way, I want to go this way. What's this way? And sometimes that right there is the ideal path. So sometimes you have to let your brain and your gut go to war so that you can arrive at that location, that starting point, or that launching point, where it will take you forward in a way that is viable, but also interesting. And sometimes you just got to follow the gut and be dangerous. Not dangerous. I shouldn't say that. That's bad form. And be as interesting as possible, I guess I'll say. Now, here's the kicker. This is not always easy, because sometimes we get so used to our overthinking thought meat ruling the day. So when our gut says to do something and our brain goes, nope, can't do that. What do? You can't. It's just like what I can't even think of the words, because that's what happens. It's like here's a really obvious example. So my wife and I are working on planning a vacation. I need a vacation. It's been too long, and I don't allow myself that very often, because I'm just always so busy, and I hate that. But that's my brain. My brain says, no, you're too busy. Can't do that. Well, while we're planning this trip, my wife's like, what about this? What about this? Let's try this. Let's try this. And when my brain goes, ooh, but X, Y, and Z. Whereas my gut's going, yeah, let's do it. Why not? What can hurt? What harm can come of it? No harm can come. Well, there's always harm that can come of everything, but it will be exciting to do this. Let's do it. And my brain's like, oh, but money, time, danger, So in that instance, I have to go, you know what? Let's take all of the warnings that my brain is giving me, okay? And let's kind of sort them out such that we can go, yeah, time, vacation, who cares about time? We can just set that aside. Danger, well, there's danger everywhere. And where we're planning on going is not a terribly dangerous place. So let's just get rid of that. Money, well, okay, money's always a problem. Money is always an issue for everyone. Well, that's not true. There's a certain thing called the 1% who never have any problems with money and don't even really care how much things cost because it doesn't affect them. And to you, I want to say, you know, maybe you should walk around the streets of America one day and see how real people have to interact with their money and just understand what it's like. End of rant. So essentially, you have to say, okay, well, we've set aside this amount of money for the trip. So if we can squeeze it in, no problem. At that point, you have no reason to not do the thing. So sometimes just stepping back and going, brain, what are your issues? Listing out those issues and figuring out what's really an issue and what's really just a fear. Because our brains are really good at protecting us from the things that we should fear or just do fear. And our gut, well, our guts are just like, hey, let's do it. I want to do this. Let's do it. And then our brains are like, yeah, Mr. Gut, you've gotten us into sticky situations sometimes, and I don't know if I trust you anymore. And that, my friends, is the truth. My gut has led me into some problematic areas in my life, like since I was a child, because I was a really precocious child. One of the things I loved to do as a child was take things apart. I'd see something and I'd go, I want to see what's inside of that. And I would just start taking it apart with no care about how to get it back together. I didn't care about the consequences because my gut said, do this. And that's what children are really good at. Children just blindly follow their instincts. They're like, oh, look, that thing on top of that thing is really bright red. I want to touch it. Boom. Oh my gosh, I'm burning my hand up. Brain goes, pull your hand away. Okay. But on the other side of that, you could just watch a child do their thing. And you can just see them following their instincts at every turn. Their brain doesn't go, I probably shouldn't touch that bright, shiny thing because danger, Will Robinson. But at some point in time, in our evolution from birth to death, we lose that sense of following our guts because our brains just get so enmeshed in everything that we do, and we as people go, brain, you're the smart one. I'm just going to listen to you. Well, sometimes the smart one doesn't always get it right. And that's why, especially with my art. So essentially what I do with my art is my gut says do this, I do this, and then I let my brain figure it out. Sometimes my brain gets really upset with me when I do that, but in the end, the results are so much better than if I just had followed my brain and gone the smart route. Now, I am not in any way, shape, or form telling you or anyone to just follow your gut, because there are times where your gut's going to get you in trouble. Don't let that happen. If your gut tells you to do, think, or say something that could put you in danger or put you into a situation where you shouldn't be, where you might hurt someone mentally, physically, or emotionally, don't do it. Let your brain stop you. Because there will be times when your brain says, okay, I see why you want to do that, but let me tell you why you shouldn't. It's like, oh, that person's flirting with me. What's the harm in flirting back? That's what your gut says. Then your brain says, deal weed, you're married, just stop. And then you go, oh yeah, brain's right. Let's just back away. Now, to be fair, no one flirts with me. So I'm okay. I don't have to worry about that. And I am married, very happily married. So, you know, I don't even know why I brought that up. That could get me in trouble just thinking about it. I'm just kidding. Well, maybe not. We'll see. Anyway, look, we're all different. Every single one of us is different. We go about things differently. But there are some universal truths. And I bet you that every single one of you who has listened, who has taken the time to bother listening to me blather on about this, has experienced this idea of wanting to shut your brain up and just follow your instincts. It's not as hard as you think. Once you start trusting your instincts, it'll get easier and it'll get more habitual. Just remember that when you do trust your instincts, you should allow your brain to kick in to warn you if there are possible problems, especially when we're dealing with real life. It's one thing to just go, gut, just lead me wherever you want when you're writing a book. That's just fun. And that's usually the way I write. But in real life, you just have to be a bit judicious in how much control and trust you hand over to your instincts. But when you find that balance, it's a beautiful thing. Anyway, thank you so very much for giving me a little bit of your time today. I know it's precious, and I know you have a lot to do. In fact, your brain has been telling you this whole time to close YouTube and go do something productive, while your gut's like, maybe you should pay attention here. Hopefully, you listen to your gut. Thank you again, and I hope that you and everyone you know and love have a wonderful, wonderful day.